She had been working out at Elite Fitness for 3 years without any problems, until the new manager decided she didn't fit the gym's image. What started as a membership cancellation quickly turned into the biggest mistake of his career, because the woman he just humiliated wasn't just any member. She was someone with the power to shut down his entire operation. And when her lawyer walked through those doors, his face went pale as he realized he had just discriminated against the wrong person. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Elite Fitness as Monica Reed walked through the entrance at exactly 6:30 a.m., just like she had every weekday for the past 3 years. At 38, Monica maintained the disciplined routine that had served her well both in the courtroom and in life. As a civil rights attorney, she understood the importance of starting each day with clarity and strength, which was exactly what her morning workout provided. Elite Fitness was an upscale gym in downtown Atlanta, the kind of place where membership fees filtered out casual exercisers and attracted serious fitness enthusiasts with significant disposable income. Monica had joined shortly after making partner at Morrison & Associates, one of the city's most prestigious civil rights law firms. The gym's location was perfect, just 6 blocks from her office, and the early morning crowd was typically focused and professional, creating an environment where she could exercise in peace before facing another day of fighting discrimination cases. Monica scanned her membership card at the front desk and nodded to Sarah, the usual morning receptionist, who smiled back with familiar warmth. "Good morning, Miss Reed. The usual routine today? You know it," Monica replied, adjusting her workout bag on her shoulder. "Cardio first, then strength training. Is the conference room available at 8? I have a call with opposing counsel before I head to the office." "Already reserved for you," Sarah said, handing her a towel. "You're probably our most organized member." Monica laughed. "Occupational hazard. When you spend your days fighting legal battles, organization becomes survival." As Monica headed toward the locker room, she noticed a man she didn't recognize standing behind the front desk with Sarah. He was in his early 40s, wearing a crisp white polo shirt with Elite Fitness Management embroidered on the chest. His blonde hair was perfectly styled, and he carried himself with the kind of aggressive confidence that Monica had learned to recognize as a warning sign in her professional life. "That's her," she heard him say quietly to Sarah as she passed. "The one I was telling you about." Monica paused, pretending to check her phone while listening to their conversation. In her years as a civil rights attorney, she had developed an instinct for detecting discriminatory behavior, and something about the new manager's tone immediately put her on alert. "Eric, she's been a member for 3 years," Sarah replied, her voice confused. "She's never caused any problems. She's actually one of our most respectful members." "It's not about problems," Derek Thompson said, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to having his decisions go unquestioned. "It's about image. This is an elite establishment, and we need to maintain certain standards." Monica felt a familiar tightness in her chest, the same feeling she experienced when reviewing discrimination cases. She continued toward the locker room, but made a mental note to pay attention to how Derek interacted with other members throughout her workout. Over the next hour, Monica completed her usual routine, 30 minutes on the elliptical, followed by weight training focusing on her core and upper body. She noticed Derek moving through the gym, greeting various members with enthusiasm. His interactions were warm and personal with the white members. He knew their names, asked about their families, and seemed genuinely interested in their fitness goals. But when he passed Monica or the few other black members present, his demeanor shifted noticeably. His greetings became formal and brief, lacking the warmth he displayed with others. Monica had seen this pattern countless times in her legal practice, the subtle but unmistakable difference in treatment that constituted discrimination. It was rarely as obvious as outright hostility. Instead, it manifested as a systematic difference in warmth, attention, and respect. After finishing her workout, Monica headed to the gym's small conference room to take her scheduled call. She was in the middle of discussing settlement terms for a housing discrimination case when Derek knocked on the glass door. She held up one finger, indicating she needed a moment to finish her conversation. "We'll proceed with the deposition on Friday," Monica told her colleague. "The defendant's pattern of discriminatory lending practices is well documented, and I believe we can secure a favorable settlement within the month. She ended the call and opened the conference room door. Yes. Derek stepped inside, closing the door behind him. In his hand was a manila envelope that Monica immediately recognized as the type used for official gym correspondence. "Ms. Reed, I need to discuss your membership with you," Derek said, his tone attempting professionalism, but carrying an underlying coldness. "Is there a problem with my account?" Monica asked, though she already suspected where this conversation was heading. "Not with your account specifically," Derek replied, opening the envelope and removing several documents. "But after reviewing our membership guidelines and conducting a comprehensive evaluation of our facility's direction, we've made the decision to cancel your membership." Monica felt her pulse quicken, but her expression remained calm. Years of courtroom experience had taught her to control her reactions, especially when facing adversarial situations. "I see," she said evenly. "May I ask what specific guidelines I've violated?" Derek shifted uncomfortably. He had clearly expected this conversation to be simpler. Most people, when faced with authority, simply accepted decisions without challenging them. "It's not about violations, it's about fit. Elite Fitness is moving toward a more exclusive membership model." "More exclusive," Monica repeated. "Can you define what that means?" "We're focusing on members who align with our brand image and community standards," Derek said, the words clearly rehearsed. Monica looked directly at him, her analytical mind already cataloging the legal implications of his statements. "Miss Thompson, are you canceling my membership because I'm black?" The question hung in the air like an accusation. Derek's face flushed, but he maintained his composure. "That's absolutely not what this is about," he said quickly. "This is a business decision based on our evolving standards and community feedback." "Community feedback," Monica said. "From whom?" Derek hesitated. "Several long-term members have expressed concerns about the changing atmosphere of the gym." "What kind of concern?" "General concerns about maintaining the exclusive nature of our facility." Monica nodded slowly, understanding exactly what Derek was really saying. "Mr. Thompson, I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you canceling my membership because of my race?" "I already told you. Because if you are," Monica continued, her voice taking on the steel that made her one of the most feared civil rights attorneys in the state, "then you should know that what you're doing constitutes a clear violation of the Civil Rights Act of specifically Title II, which prohibits discrimination in places of public accommodation." Derek's confident demeanor began to crack. "I'm not discriminating against anyone. This is a private business decision. A private business decision that coincidentally targets one of the few black members of your gym," Monica said. "The decision made without any documented violations of gym policy or any complaints about my behavior." "Look, I don't want this to become a legal issue," Derek said, his voice rising slightly. Monica smiled, not warmly, but with the expression of someone who had just realized they held all the cards. "Mr. Thompson, it became a legal issue the moment you made a membership decision based on race. The question now is, how big of a legal issue is it going to become?" Derek tried to regain control of the situation. "You can't prove this was about race. I have legitimate business reasons for this decision." "Legitimate business reasons," Monica repeated slowly. "Let me guess, you're going to claim I was disruptive, or that other members complained about me, or that I violated some obscure policy buried in the fine print of the membership agreement." Derek's expression told her she had hit the mark exactly. These were the standard defenses used in discrimination cases, and Monica had heard them all countless times in her legal practice. "Because here's what you don't understand, Miss Thompson," Monica continued, her voice taking on the steel that made her one of the most feared civil rights attorneys in the state. "I've been fighting discrimination cases for 12 years. I know every excuse, every lie, every fabricated justification that people like you use to cover up your prejudice, and I know how to destroy every single one of them in court." Derek realized he was in over his head, but his pride prevented him from backing down. "Reed, your membership is terminated effective immediately. You can file whatever complaints you want, but this decision is final." "I see," Monica said, pulling out her phone. In that case, I need to make a call. You can't use the conference room if you're not a member, Derek said petulantly. Monica looked at him with something approaching pity. Mr. Thompson, you have no idea what you've just done, do you? She walked out of the conference room and headed toward the gym's entrance, Derek following behind her. As she reached the front door, she dialed a number on her phone. James, she said when someone answered. It's Monica. I need you to come to Elite Fitness downtown immediately. Bring the discrimination paperwork and your recorder. I've just become a client. Derek's face went pale as he realized Monica was speaking to a lawyer. Wait, you can't. James Morrison, Monica continued into the phone, founding partner of Morrison and Associates. Yes, the civil rights firm. I'll be waiting in the parking lot. As Monica ended the call, Derek's bravado completely disappeared. Miss Reed, maybe we can discuss this. The time for discussion was when you decided to discriminate against me, Monica said calmly. Now the time for discussion is over. But Derek Thompson had no idea that Monica Reed wasn't just any lawyer. She was the attorney who had successfully shut down 3 businesses in the past year for discrimination. And she was about to make Elite Fitness the 4th. What Derek didn't know was that Monica's law firm had been tracking discrimination patterns in Atlanta's fitness industry for months. Elite Fitness was already on their radar due to anonymous complaints from former members. Derek had just provided them with the perfect test case, and he had chosen the worst possible person to discriminate against. The irony was devastating. In trying to remove Monica from his gym, Derek had just handed her the evidence she needed to remove his gym from existence. 20 minutes later, a black Mercedes pulled into the Elite Fitness parking lot. James Morrison stepped out, a distinguished black man in his 60s wearing an impeccably tailored navy suit. At 6 feet 3 inches tall with silver hair and the bearing of someone accustomed to command, James Morrison was a legend in Atlanta's legal community. He had been fighting discrimination cases since before the Civil Rights Act was signed, and his reputation for dismantling racist businesses was well established. Monica briefed him on the situation as they walked toward the gym entrance. Pattern discrimination, no documented violations, decision made immediately after commenting on community standards and exclusive membership, she summarized. Classic case. Any witnesses to the conversation? James, Sarah, the front desk receptionist, heard him making comments about image and standards before he approached me. And the conference room has security cameras. James smiled grimly. This might be easier than I thought. They entered the gym together, James's presence immediately commanding attention from everyone in the facility. Several members stopped their workouts to watch as the 2 attorneys approached the front desk, where Derek was now standing with Sarah and what appeared to be another manager. Miss Thompson, James said, his voice carrying the authority of 4 decades in courtrooms, I'm James Morrison, legal counsel Ms. Reed. I understand you've canceled her membership. Derek looked like he wanted to disappear. This is a private matter between the gym and a former member. Actually, James said, pulling out a small recording device, this is now a legal matter involving potential civil rights violations. I'd like to discuss the specific reasons for Ms. Reed's membership cancellation. I don't have to discuss anything with you, Derek said, but his voice lacked conviction. You're absolutely right, James agreed. You don't have to discuss anything with me. You can discuss it with a federal judge instead. Ms. Reed, did you receive any documentation regarding the cancellation? Monica handed James the envelope Derek had given her. He reviewed the contents quickly, his expression growing more satisfied with each page. Interesting, James said. No violations cited, no specific policy referenced, just a business decision based on evolving standards. Thompson, how many memberships have you canceled in the past 6 months? Derek remained silent, because, James continued, if we find that the overwhelming majority of canceled memberships belong to minority members, that would constitute a pattern of discrimination that could result in federal charges. Sarah, who had been watching the exchange with growing alarm, finally spoke up. Mr. Morrison, Derek canceled 3 other memberships last month. All of them were. She stopped herself. Were what, Sarah? James asked gently. Sarah looked at Derek, then back at James. All of them were black members. The gym had fallen completely silent. The few members present had stopped exercising entirely, watching the legal confrontation unfold with fascination and horror. Derek's face had gone from pale to ashen. "Sarah, you don't know what you're talking about." "Actually," Sarah continued, her voice gaining strength, "I do. You told me that Elite Fitness needed to return to its roots and attract a different type of clientele. You specifically mentioned that too many of the wrong kind of people were joining." James looked at Derek with the expression of a hunter who had just cornered his prey. "Miss Thompson, you're looking at federal civil rights charges, a discrimination lawsuit that could close this business, and personal liability that could bankrupt you. Would you like to reconsider Ms. Reed's membership status?" Derek looked around the gym desperately, as if searching for an escape route. Several members were now openly recording the confrontation with their phones, and he realized that this situation was about to become very public very quickly. "Look," Derek said, his voice now pleading, "maybe I was hasty. Maybe we can reinstate her membership. Maybe," Monica said, speaking for the first time since James arrived. "Mr. Thompson, you discriminated against me because of my race. You violated federal law. You humiliated me in front of other members. And now you think you can fix it with maybe? What do you want?" Derek asked desperately. James smiled. "What we want, Mr. Thompson, is justice. Ms. Reed, shall we proceed?" Monica nodded. "File the federal complaint. And James, make sure to request punitive damages." Derek's legs nearly gave out. Federal civil rights complaints were public records, which meant his discrimination would be documented in court filings that reporters regularly monitor. Elite Fitness would be ruined, and his career in fitness management would be over. "Wait," Derek said, panic evident in his voice. "Please, I'll do anything. I'll reinstate her membership. I'll apologize publicly. Thompson," James interrupted. "The time for negotiation ended when you decided to discriminate against my client. Now you get to face the consequences." As James and Monica prepared to leave, Sarah approached them hesitantly. "Mr. Morrison, there's something else you should know." Derek wasn't acting alone. The owner, Mr. Peterson, specifically instructed him to clean up the membership and make the gym more upscale. James raised an eyebrow. "More upscale?" He said the gym was getting too diverse, and it was affecting membership renewals from their premium clients. Monica felt a surge of satisfaction. This wasn't just about one discriminatory manager. It was about systematic discrimination directed from the top down. The legal case had just become much stronger and much more lucrative. But what Sarah revealed next would shock everyone in that gym, because the discrimination at Elite Fitness went even deeper than anyone had imagined. "There's more," Sarah continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Derek has been keeping a list of members he planned to remove, all of them minorities. He called it his improvement plan." James's expression hardened. "Where is this list?" "In his office computer. I've seen it. There are photos, membership details, and notes about how to justify each cancellation without it looking like discrimination." Derek, who had been listening from across the lobby, suddenly bolted toward his office. But James was already on his phone with federal investigators, and Monica was documenting everything on her voice recorder. The hunt for evidence was about to become much more serious than Derek had ever imagined. "Sarah," James said, "would you be willing to testify about these conversations?" Sarah looked at Derek, who was staring at her with a mixture of betrayal and terror. "Yes," she said firmly. "I've been uncomfortable with these policies since Derek started implementing them. It's not right." Over the next hour, James documented the systematic discrimination that had been occurring at Elite Fitness. With Sarah's testimony and the security footage from the conference room confrontation, they had built an airtight case that would not only result in monetary damages, but would likely force the gym to close entirely. As news of the discrimination case spread through social media, several gym members had posted videos of the confrontation. Elite Fitness began experiencing immediate consequences. By that afternoon, dozens of members had canceled their memberships, local news crews were gathering outside the building, and corporate sponsors were distancing themselves from the gym. Derek Thompson was fired within 24 hours, but the damage was irreversible. Elite Fitness closed permanently within 2 weeks. Unable to recover from the public relations disaster, and the legal cost associated with the federal discrimination case. The discovery of Derek's improvement plan had turned a simple discrimination case into a federal investigation. FBI agents seized the gym's computers and discovered a systematic campaign to remove minority members that had been ongoing for 8 months. The evidence was so overwhelming that the Department of Justice opened a criminal investigation into the gym's ownership. Peterson, the owner, found himself facing not just civil lawsuits, but potential criminal charges for conspiracy to violate civil rights. The improvement plan documented in detail how they had researched each minority member, fabricated reasons for membership cancellation, and coordinated their efforts to avoid detection. Monica's case became the catalyst that exposed one of the most systematic discrimination schemes in Atlanta's recent history. What started as one canceled membership ended up revealing a network of discrimination that had affected over 30 families. The financial penalties were staggering. Elite Fitness was ordered to pay over $2.3 million in damages to the affected members, but the business had already collapsed under the weight of the scandal. Peterson lost not just his gym, but his entire real estate portfolio. When other properties became targets of discrimination investigation, Monica Reed's case became a landmark victory that sent a clear message throughout Atlanta's business community. Discrimination would not be tolerated, and those who engaged in it would face severe consequences. 6 months later, Monica received a settlement that exceeded her expectations, but more importantly, the case had resulted in stronger anti-discrimination policies at fitness facilities throughout the state. Derek Thompson found himself unemployable in the fitness industry, and eventually had to relocate to another state to find work. James Morrison added another victory to his already impressive record, but for him, the most satisfying aspect of the case was seeing justice served for someone who had dedicated her career to serving others. And Monica Reed, she found a new gym, one that welcomed her membership and treated all of their clients with respect. But more importantly, she had demonstrated that discrimination, no matter how subtly it's practiced, will always have consequences when it targets someone willing to fight back. The case also led to Monica being appointed to a federal task force investigating discrimination in recreational facilities nationwide. Her work with Elite Fitness became the foundation for new federal guidelines that required fitness centers to maintain detailed records of membership decisions and submit regular civil rights audits. Derek Thompson, meanwhile, discovered that discrimination doesn't just end careers, it destroys lives. His name became permanently associated with racial bias, making him unemployable, not just in fitness, but in any customer-facing industry. The improvement plan documents became evidence in multiple federal cases, ensuring that his discriminatory actions would follow him forever. But perhaps the most powerful outcome was the message sent to other businesses throughout Atlanta. Discrimination is not a sustainable business practice. It's a path to destruction that will cost you everything you've built. 3 months after Elite Fitness closed, Monica received a letter from Sarah, who had found new employment at a gym that prided itself on diversity and inclusion. "Thank you," the letter read, "for giving me the courage to speak up. I should have done it sooner, but better late than never." Monica kept that letter on her desk as a reminder that justice isn't just about legal victories. It's about empowering others to stand up against discrimination wherever they encounter it. The Elite Fitness case became required reading in civil rights law courses at several universities, not just because of its legal significance, but because it demonstrated how individual acts of courage can create systemic change. Derek Thompson, meanwhile, learned the hard way that in America discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's expensive. His decision to cancel one gym membership ended up costing him his career, his reputation, and his future in the fitness industry. Sometimes, justice takes years to achieve. Sometimes, it takes decades. But occasionally, justice arrives quickly and decisively, delivered by someone who refuses to accept discrimination and has the knowledge and resources to fight back effectively. And for Derek Thompson, who thought he could discriminate with impunity, justice arrived in the form of Monica Reed, a woman who made a living destroying people exactly like him. This story reminds us that discrimination still exists, but so do people willing to fight it. If you believe that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, subscribe to our channel for more stories of justice and courage. Hit the notification bell and let us know in the comments. Have you ever witnessed discrimination, and what did you do about it?